Hey Shakers, today we're here with Dean Brent Chrite of the Daniels College of Business. Brent, thanks for joining the Handshakin video series.
My pleasure. Good to be here, man. Thank you.
Thanks. So to start off, maybe you could tell us just a little bit about your story. Where'd you come from? How did you get here?
Sure. Well, I'm probably one of the sort of few non-entrepreneurs that you have on. I'm originally a Detroiter. I'm a Midwesterner by sort of birth and temperament. Have been involved in higher education at a variety of institutions around the country. I've had the pleasure of working around the world and looking to sort of, harness the power of the economic marketplace to improve the lives of not only of citizens here, but in some of the most opaque and marginal economic areas on the planet. Started out at the University of Michigan, where I did my graduate work. Spent 13 years of my career. Went down to the desert, University of Arizona. We sort of fell in love with the western portion of the United States. We took a brief deanship on the East Coast. Wanted to come back to this part of the country. Had the opportunity here. Was well aware of the reputation of Daniels and of the University of Denver. Was eager to get here. Am delighted to be here and finishing up the first year of my deanship here.
Great. So we're really interested to ask you, now that you're here, we're really excited with what you guys are doing with entrepreneurship. And we want to learn what Daniels is doing to increase its ability to help entrepreneurs. And the first topic we want to touch on is community. We've found that entrepreneurs who pick the right communities, join them and immerse themselves in them, are most likely to be the most successful from what we've heard from our past guests, which are many of Colorado's most successful entrepreneurs. What types of communities does Daniels offer entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think that's right. For us, it's not only about community. For us, we take it even a step further. It's about a sense of space, even a sense of place in terms of our students and stakeholders being able to come together. But certainly, one of the things that makes DU so great and the Daniels College so integral to entrepreneurial creativity and energy is the entrepreneurial dynamism in this Colorado and Denver marketplace. It is one of the most energetic, high-performing, creative regions in the country with, as you know, substantial in-migration of millennials and creative folks like you. And so our objective as a business school is to harness that, is to leverage it, is to provide opportunities for our students in particular to not only be introduced to it, but to substantively engage in it as part of an ecosystem. And that ecosystem is created by our vast array of alumni who are successful entrepreneurs and business people, by our students who are committed to enterprise creation, by our faculty who sort of provide energy and guidance, and by facilities, if we do it right, giving us that sense of space and place. So our approach to entrepreneurship is not about a series of classes or lectures. It's about a set of experiences and a set of engagements. And the better we can expose our students to that community, the better chance they have of fulfilling their aspirations.
Great. Now, there's been a lot of talk that I've heard through the grapevine that Daniels has some big plans with what they want to do with entrepreneurship. I've heard talk of an incubator from some student groups, all the way to some different types of classes. Could you speak a little bit about what you guys are planning in the coming months and years?
Sure. There have been a couple of things that are really exciting. I mean, we have a minor, a new minor that just got a quote-unquote formal approval last year. And this minor is for students across the university. We think some of the most interesting things occur at the intersection of disciplines and of functional areas. And so this minor is for all students, and we hope, and we expect many of them to take advantage of it. We're also looking at the graduate level, a similar certificate at the intersection of law, business, and engineering, for example, to expose students to each of those components in terms of thinking about the entrepreneurial value chain. And so curricularly and programmatically, that represents the foundation on which everything else will be based. We're looking at finding space that will be sort of shaped and configured to support the kind of engagement and community exposure and esprit that we talked about a little while ago. We've got an outstanding scholar who is leading the effort here. We've got folks like you and other stakeholders and benefactors who have been immensely supportive. And we are interested in identifying space, if you will, in the entrepreneurial marketplace that will add particular value to our students and our community. And I think that's what's really exciting about what we're trying to do.
Great. Can't wait to see how things are going to unfold in these coming months. So that's great. Let's go ahead and move on to how Daniels can help entrepreneurs get their idea in front of experts that can provide feedback. And let me go ahead and start with an example. Just because we wrote about this recently on our blog, saying the title of the blog was, "Should entrepreneurs hassle with graduate school?" Right. And for me, the answer was absolutely. It helps qualify you to get in front of who you need to get in front of to get the best information to reach your biggest goals. Because people are where you can get the best information the quickest if you can just get in front of them. And for the entrepreneur, especially the aspiring entrepreneur, they have to put pieces of the foundation into place. Right. When you first incorporate, when you have your first employee, when you make your first sale,
right.
Or maybe it's where you came from. When you got this promotion at this corporate entity that is in the exact same space where your startup is, or when you completed an MBA and needed to talk to fellow MBAs that were in the entrepreneurial space. And that's where I really saw value. But that's just my example. Perhaps you could share some other examples and information with us on that.
I think it's more of a personal decision. Obviously, I'm an educator. I believe in the power of education. But I also recognize that some of our most formidable entrepreneurial ventures have been started, by folks who have never set foot on a college campus. For me, I think the critical issue is not whether or not you can, teach entrepreneurship or you should have undergraduate business students focusing on that. But for me, exposing students to the entrepreneurial value chain is inextricably linked to a 21st century marketplace. And you cannot be a credible management education institution without recognizing that the marketplace has migrated from industrial and manufacturing to one that is increasingly entrepreneurial and knowledge-based. So it's almost redundant to talk about business and entrepreneurship because they go hand in hand. And our job is to provide folks like you with the opportunity to flush out ideas, to be exposed to people who have developed successful and venturable ideas, to understand how you access capital markets, to understand the pitfalls of and the risk premium associated with entrepreneurial in an environment that's sort of reasonably safe and facilitating and supportive and enabling. That's what business schools do. And I think Daniels is uniquely capable of doing that. And so, the final thought I'll say on that is, whether or not you want to go out and start your own enterprise, we have an obligation to expose you to an entrepreneurial ecosystem. Because whether you work in the largest Fortune 100 or go out and do your own thing, the creativity, the innovation, the focus on customer, the focus on problem solving associated with entrepreneurial activities is a good thing for us to teach, and that's what we try to do.
That's great. And Shakers, I'd like to bridge a conclusion here with who we interviewed last week, which was Eric Matisek, CEO of Colorado Technology Association, and also one of the partners behind the Commons on Champa, a brand new entrepreneurial space that just opened. And what Eric said was something that I'd like to bridge here to what Brent is saying, and that's, Eric said, do something today, even if it's the wrong thing. And that's a great thing for entrepreneurs to take to heart because it's executing that's actually going to make your idea or dream a reality. And for those that might hesitate and might not know exactly what that first step is to execute, there's a structured business school. Here at Daniels is a great one, and there's lots of others across the nation. But obviously, University of Denver is in the second best city in which Forbes calls to launch your startup. So come on here to Denver if you're not here already, and either come into business school and start executing today on what may or may not be the right decision for your startup, or stay where you're at and at least try to move forward. For those of you who haven't found yourself as moving forward, business school might be the next step for you. So I just wanted to bridge those parallels. I'm kind of seeing Daniels here as a more structured way to start doing things and executing and building your credibility and starting your career. Whether entrepreneurship is this year or in the next few years, where Eric, you know, a very successful entrepreneur himself, kind of sees it on the other side of the table, which is start executing today. But the parallel is that it matters that you start doing things right away today and taking steps and moving your career forward. So it's an interesting parallel. It's very conceptual. But with that being said, Shakers, let's go ahead and move on to how the Daniels community opens up those interested in entrepreneurship to build relationships with world-class mentors. And Brent, maybe you can talk to us about this for those that are entrepreneurs and those who aren't entrepreneurs. Have you seen students and alumni here build relationships with world-class mentors because they were part of the Daniels community?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the benefits, as you pointed out, that you know, you can derive from coming to a school like this, or as you said, some of the many others around campus, is that, you know, they have a track record, they have a legacy, they have a network of alumni and stakeholders and benefactors, many of whom are extraordinarily successful and highly experienced, who want to come back to their alma mater and give back. And so for somebody that doesn't come here, that's trying to do their own thing, and they can ultimately get access to the same people. It's a little more circuitous, it's a little harder, it takes a little more time. Here, it's part of the learning environment. It's part of the culture, it's part of the community, it's part of the value proposition for coming to a, you know, selective private institution like the University of Denver. And it's something that is not tangential to what we do, but again, is directly tied in to how we try to develop our students, providing access in class, out of class, extracurricularly, as a matter of the design of how we go about trying to educate students. So that's I think that's a definite benefit of coming to a place like Daniels if you have interest in being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Now with that note, Brent, I want to ask you a question, because this one can apply to entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs. And I think it's fair to say you and I would agree on the fact that mentors are important. Could you tell us a little bit about how mentors have played into your success in coming to be dean here at the Daniels College?
The mentor-mentee relationship is really valuable. It's very hard to mandate. You can't really make someone become a mentor, right? You can't mandate that. Okay, you know, you serve as. I mean, these things happen sort of very often organically, but they also happen authentically. And when they do, there's nothing that I think compares with them. You know, there's an individual who was the dean of the business school at Michigan many years ago, who became my mentor, became interim president of Michigan, president of the University of Illinois, and supported me, and we're still very close to this day. That was a long time ago. You know, he's played an integral role in my success. It is my hope that I can provide the same kind of support to someone else, you know, behind me. And, you know, I reflect on that pretty regularly because of the sort of power that that mentor relationship had on my own development. So it's kind of hard to overstate the importance of finding a mentor.
I would completely agree, and I'm confident almost all of our guests would also agree. You know, it's that paying it forward. You know, once you make it,
right,
most people want to give back, especially when it's someone they see part of themselves in. And vice versa, when you're starting out, it's absolutely necessary to ask. And be humble, be concise, and ask for help, because you need it. Aspiring entrepreneurs can't get there alone, and even aspiring non-entrepreneurs oftentimes can't get there alone.
Sure.
And that's a lot of what the community, getting feedback from experts is similar to building a relationship with a mentor anyway. And I feel like what you're touching on is actually the foundation of everything we believe here, which is personal relationships, respect for those giving time to help you, and the rest will take care of itself if you build it.
I agree.
If you take care of people first, and especially the right ones.
Right.
Cool. Well, I suppose that's our conclusion for mentors, Shakers. Let's move on to the action item, Brent. What is one thing that aspiring entrepreneurs can do related to personal relationships to increase their chances of success right after this video?
So I would suggest that most of us have someone in our mind's eye that I'd love to meet that person, but they're 2 or 3 degrees of freedom away from who I know, or they're at a senior level of position that I don't think I could ever access them. I think that the one thing I would suggest is that if there's someone out there, whether local, regional, that you put yourself on the line and you go after securing that relationship. I think you'll be surprised how responsive many senior, successful entrepreneurs and business people are. You might have to be persistent. You might have to be creative. But if this is somebody that you want to gain access to, then you need to commit to gaining access. You need to leverage a network. You need to leverage all kinds of channels. You need to exercise every ounce of creativity and energy that you have. But I don't think there's any downside to making commitment on, I want access to this individual, and going out and making it happen. And so I would hope that they put their sort of reticence aside and commit to pursuing the relationship of their dream, so to speak.
Absolutely, and that comes back to the earlier conclusion of just execute today. Reach out and get creative, Shakers. Like Brent said, persistency, getting creative, and be concise and be humble, and you can access some of these people. And like Brent also said, you'd be surprised how many business professionals and just wildly successful people who you think may never email you back are actually happy to listen to you and learn how they can help you.
Right.
So great action item. I think that's about it, Shakers. Pull up your Gmail and shoot off an email right after this video. And Brent, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations.